Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf with you on this Thursday afternoon. Way a little bit late. We've had some technical problems. My hard drive decided to crash. So, we're working out some technical kinks. I've had to move it to the backup computer, so that's why it took so long to get everything set up, and still apparently not quite working as intended. But hey, we're gonna keep working on it and try to make a decent show. I got a good show for you guys today anyway. I've got a lot of things to talk about, including the revenge against one of the Kavanaugh accusers happening today. Megyn Kelly, a couple of fun stories on her. We'll also talk about Khashoggi and the updates to that, and of course Donald Trump and his rhetoric. So we'll talk about that. Fun stuff. We also have some electoral fuckery going on in Georgia. So interesting. Anyway, so got a good show for you, as like I said, for you guys today. Please give us a like and a share if you haven't already. And like I said, we've had that a lot of technical problems and technical errors. So stick with it. We're gonna get a new hard drive probably this weekend, so I can hopefully try to recover what I can from the stream computer, but more importantly, set it back up kind of the way that it was. So anyway, fun stuff, right? I love technical problems, don't you? All right. So that said, let's jump into the news and get depressed. As if that's, not a thing that's already happening. All right. It didn't take long for Republicans to plan on going after witnesses against Brett Kavanaugh. Now, Brett Kavanaugh already won his nominating contest. Jeff Flake, of course, one of the deciding votes, who, for the life of him, just couldn't decide who to believe, but ended up voting in favor of Kavanaugh anyway, of confirming Kavanaugh anyway. Now, the newest news is Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley is now going after one of the accusers, Julia Swetnick. Now, earlier today, it's being reported that Grassley asked Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the FBI to investigate potential conspiracy, false statements, and obstruction of Congress. Now, Grassley said it was a request for an investigation and not a criminal allegation. Oh, no, we're just investigating. But we think that there was a conspiracy against Brett Kavanaugh. That's what that means. False statements, obviously, well, we believe Julie Swetnick and Michael Avenatti, who's a lawyer that represents her, we think that they made false statements, that they lied under oath, right, and tried to obstruct Congress. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, look, here's the thing. Julie Swetnick, she was the one that claimed that she saw Kavanaugh and Kavanaugh's friend Mark Judge at parties, that she was allegedly raped at these parties, but had basically said that Kavanaugh was present. Not that Kavanaugh had allegedly raped her, but that he was just there. Well, what does present mean? That was one of the questions that I had. And I had hoped that the FBI investigation would clear that up. Now, that FBI investigation ended up being severely, artificially limited, so that they didn't even talk to Swetnick. They didn't talk to Avenatti. They didn't talk to anybody there who could have corroborated those stories. So we never got to find out what she actually meant by, well, he was present. He was present. Okay. So, hey, you know what? Maybe this time, maybe we are going to find out if they actually do an investigation, and if that investigation isn't so artificially limited like it was the last time. I don't have much faith in the system at this point, because right now, look at who controls it. And look at the whole reason behind this investigation. This is a way to punish Julie Swetnick, not to get to the truth of the matter, to punish her and to go after and stifle Avenatti. Now look, Avenatti, I believe Avenatti's a bit of a snake, and he's basically there trying to get attention in order to run for president, right? So Avenatti's doing it for Avenatti. Nonetheless, in a weird way, like, he is kind of matching Donald Trump. And so he's gained a lot of, I wouldn't say credibility, but there's some traction with the establishment, right? They're like, ooh, Avenatti, he's tough. Ooh, he's going up against Donald Trump. Ooh, maybe he should run for president. No, for God's sakes, no. What does Avenatti think about policy? What does he think about economic policy? What does he think on this whole, Avenatti 2020 bullshit is absolutely 100% ridiculous. But that's the kind of buzz that he's hoping to generate. And that, of course, Republicans are a bit scared of that because they saw how successful Donald Trump actually is at doing essentially the same thing. He is the establishment's Trump, if you can believe it. Because, and I've actually given credit here, he is doing what the Republicans are doing and saying, okay, you know what, fuck norms. I'm going to smash the norms. I'm going to smash decorum. Who the fuck cares? I'm going to go after them. And so that's something that I think Democrats could use, a spine. Nonetheless, again, Avenatti, a snake, in it for himself, etc. And Republicans, to kind of bring it all the way back here, is that Republicans are coming after Avenatti because they're afraid of him, because he actually does have a bit of a backbone, even if it is completely 100% self-serving. Now, to go back to the article here, and Avenatti himself, well, he responded. He said, quote, Senator Grassley has just made a major mistake. Let the investigation into Kavanaugh and his lies begin. So that's the framing here, and I actually do agree with that. I think I think to an extent, Grassley just stepped into it. Oh, you want to have an investigation now? Oh, you want to look into it now? You didn't want to look into it before. You had an extremely limited investigation before, and you still were able to confirm Kavanaugh. So why do you want it now? Again, this is retaliation, but if you're going up against somebody strong, then that retaliation has a chance of blowing up in your face. And again, Avenatti, I think they underestimate him and how much he's willing to punch, not literally, but figuratively, Republicans in the face, and specifically Donald Trump and now Chuck Grassley. So this is interesting. This is like the battle of shitty people. Shitty person A versus shittier person B. This is what our politics has devolved into. But that said, good. Bring it on, Grassley. Come on. I do want the truth to come out. I do want to know. Right? I do want to know if Julie Swetnick was there, if she saw Brett Kavanaugh raping women in a train. Yes, the truth needs to come out there. The truth absolutely needs to come out there. And so, hey, I would be in favor of an actual impartial investigation, but we know, of course, based on the last FBI investigation, that I think there's not going to be any impartiality. And because, look, they know that if they look into it, they might find something that they'll regret. That's just my take of it. We'll see what happens. But as far as this goes, bring it, Chuck. Bring it. All right. Let's go to Megyn Kelly. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got her. Down goes Megyn Kelly. Down goes Megyn Kelly. She is done. Stick a fork in her, man. According to CNN, citing sources with knowledge of the matter, they say that Megyn Kelly will not return to the air. And she was off today. She had, I think her last day was yesterday, and she had a couple of pre-taped shows, and then that's it. Gone. Other reports, of course, have her out as well. Megyn Kelly's, according to an NBC News spokesperson, given the circumstances, Megyn Kelly today will be on tape the rest of the week. Another source said that Kelly's show will be ending. Now, this is before it became official, so they said, well, we have negotiations. Well, it appears that they concluded their negotiations, and I'll give you some of the details on what I know on that. But first, let me go to why, right? So, now a lot of people think, and I don't blame them for thinking this way, that this is basically a retaliation for her talking about blackface, right? Her comments on blackface. Now, those comments were terrible, and she immediately walked them back. She's like, oh my God, yeah. We had this massive blow up. Okay, I take it back. I apologize, right? Now, that was terrible, but that wasn't the main reason. I don't think that's the main reason that she's ending her show. It's one of those things that's the final straw, right? NBC News staffers had been calling her show, quote, a disaster for quite some time. Now, why is it a disaster? Well, if you ask me, it's because Megyn Kelly is a partisan hack. When she was on Fox News, she said a lot of horrible things. She had no problem lying to her audience nightly. That's what you do on Fox News, right? So everybody there knows who Megyn Kelly is. You can't reinvent that. Sorry. No matter how much money you throw at her, you can't change who she actually really is. You can't get rid of the stain of Fox News. Now, speaking of money, here are the details, right? It's been reported that she will still get the money from her entire 3-year contract. Now, she gets, and this is valued at $23 million a year. 3-year contract, that is $69 million. And she gets all of it. Holy crap. That's how much these news actors get paid. Now for me, you give me $69,000 a year, I'll be super happy. That's actually pretty decent where I live. But $69 million. And for getting basically cut from your show, having your show canceled because your ratings were horrible. And she still gets that much money. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That's how much these people get paid. Even when you fail, somehow you still get that much money. It is insane how much people on television make. It's not like they have talent. It's not like Megyn Kelly is really known for anything other than saying horrendously racist things. For example, just saying, oh, Jesus and Santa Claus, by the way, they were white. Just to let you know, they're white. All the race baiting she's done on Fox News before, and they thought that, oh no, we could bring her to the Today Show, we can bring NBC, and we can rehabilitate her image. No, it turns out you can't rehabilitate that image, because you know what? That's who Megyn Kelly really is. And it's about time that she got the boot. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm fairly clear on that. Okay. Let's move on. We got more Megyn Kelly here. Megyn Kelly is leaving the Today Show, and apparently her colleagues will not be missing her. Now, multiple anonymous NBC officials who spoke with the Washington Post ended up painting a highly unflattering picture of Megyn Kelly on her way out the door. Oh, wow, unflattering, huh? Gee, I'm not surprised. Let me give you some of these quotes here. One NBC staffer told the Post, "Everyone's feeling is, even if you have to pay her the remainder of her contract, pay her." Which, apparently, that's what she will be getting, according to some reporting. She'll be getting $69 million. That is $23 million a year for a 3-year contract. She's only served about 2 years. It's been 2 years since she's left Fox News. Holy shit. Long time. And she gets all that money. But apparently, according to the staffers, they're just like, just shove that money towards her and get her away. Quote, "You can save faiths with this entire thing. Just get rid of her. Just get rid of her. Get her gone already. We're not interested in Megyn Kelly." Well, then why'd you hire her in the first place, dumbass? You knew who Megyn Kelly was. But again, this is corporate establishment media reaching out to the right wing and giving them shows. And it's all a desperate attempt, of course, to say, what? No, us? No, we're not liberal. Look, we hired Megyn Kelly. Well, we hire all these pro-Trump people to come on our shows, and, we hire all these staffers from Republican administrations, and of course we bring on establishment Democrats. Not once do they bring on somebody who was in favor of Bernie Sanders. Not once did they actually give a progressive an actual show. They tried it once, and guess what? Didn't work out very well. Not ratings-wise. No, rating-wise, it was amazing. However, I'm sorry, you weren't towing the establishment line. You were criticizing a Democratic president. You can't do that. It's a no-no. So, come on. They have a bias. That bias is establishment. That bias, of course, is towards, because they're so afraid of being called liberal, hiring on these right-wingers, people like Megyn Kelly. And no surprise, Megyn Kelly says something horrendously racist and a bunch of, and messes up a whole bunch of times, saying ridiculous things, so much so that they end up having to fire Kelly or let her out of her contract. Now, I've got some more quotes here. Another NBC colleague, going along with what I was saying before, said that Kelly never really transitioned from being a Fox News host to being a respectable daytime television host. Quote, "She doesn't understand that she represents more than just herself when she is here." Another colleague said that Megyn Kelly regularly blew up her own segments by going off script with off-color remarks. The colleague explained, "We try to produce a segment, and then she just goes off the rails." Well, I mean, that's a cardinal sin on television. It's all scripted. Everything's in the teleprompter, and that's how it works on television. We already know that, right? Now, that's what she did before she was on Fox News. So transitioning from that shouldn't be a problem. All you do is just read the news. But it turns out, at her core, when she was on Fox News, Megyn Kelly was more herself there than she was anywhere else. And so she couldn't help herself. She had to say ridiculous things. She had to say racist things. So, look, I get tired with the fakeness on mainstream news networks, right? Now, for me, I take notes. I got notes right here, right? I got notes right here. I got reminders of what I got to say or what I want to say because, look, I have a shitty memory, right? So it helps to have a reminder, to have a setup and everything like that. But it's 100% me. I sit down and I write this stuff and I write these notes and I, take facts and figures and I copy them and all that stuff so that I can talk about them later. That's 100% me, right? On television, your producers write you a script and you just read it. And if you deviate, it irritates people, certain people, right? So that's what that, I think, complaint really is. Like, Megyn Kelly, she can't just read a freaking teleprompter. She's got to sit there and say ridiculous things on off-color remarks. That's really hurting the brand. Really hurting the brand. And look, here's the thing. Sometimes when you go off script and say something stupid and people get mad, well, there's a reason. Just like what happened with Megyn Kelly, right? on the blackface comment. She went off script, and everybody's like, oh my God, why? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you say things like that? That would put us in trouble with our advertisers. And of course, that's really what it's about. Megyn Kelly has offended the advertisers. That's what happens. But anyway, there's more. According to the Post sources, Kelly's questioning of why it was offensive for white people to wear blackface on Halloween deeply upset producer Jackie Levin, who apparently loudly sobbed in her office on Tuesday night. One source apparently told the Post, quote, "It was so loud you could hear it through the floor." So she made some people very upset. And not only that, but of course, look, her fellow coworkers didn't like her. They were not in favor of her. In fact, they're actually pretty happy that she's gone. So, but here's my perspective. She was made for Fox News. She has the look for Fox News, and more importantly, she has a racism for Fox News. She belongs there, where she can be her true self. You can't remake that. I knew it was going to be a failure the day that they announced that show. Hey, corporate media, would you stop hiring right-wingers and actually maybe hire some progressives? You got some great progressives out there. People like Kyle Kulinski. Give that guy a show, and I guarantee your ratings would explode. Give that guy a show and let him say whatever the hell he wants. Guaranteed. Ratings up the ass. You're not going to do it, though, because you work for the donors, because you're establishment media. So they're going to continue to hire people like Megyn Kelly, right-wingers, and then fire them in disgrace later on, because unfortunately, the media is establishment, and they are afraid of the left, they're afraid of progressives, and they will continue to, spread that anti-progressive narrative and basically ignore a good portion of the country. All because they're afraid of being called liberal. Okay. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll have more stories. We got Donald Trump on the media, blaming the media for the recent bombing, attempted bombings, I should say. So we'll come back with that right after this break. Around the Nation. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you. No music because I haven't have that gotten that set up on the different computer. So let's anyway, we can dive into the next couple of stories here, including Donald Trump and him blaming the media for the recent spate of violence. Oh, that's fun. So, okay. Oh, and if you haven't already, please give us a share if you haven't already. Also, consider Super Chat. That helps the show. Also, Patreon helps the show. Patreon.com/TYTNation. All right. Now I feel like we can dive in. Okay. Just a day after a wave of bombs sent to government officials, as well as CNN, the president has doubled down on his rhetoric against the media. Now, following reports, of course, of suspicious packages being sent to former President Barack Obama, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Representative Maxine Waters, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and billionaire funder George Soros, as well as, I believe, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump said something controversial. Of course, what doesn't he say that is controversial? The media, he said, also has a responsibility to set a civil tone and stop the endless hostility and constant negative and oftentimes false attacks and stories. Have to do it. They've got to stop. Bring people together. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, it's the media's fault. How dare the media not set a civil tone? You got to stop the hostility, media, and constant negative and false attacks. Stop it. Just stop it. It's your fault. You need to bring people together. Aren't you the president of the United States? Shouldn't it be your job to bring people together? Now, how's that working out? The guy has no shame, right? The audacity to blame the media for the endless hostility in this country, when literally before the rally began, there were chances of locking up your political opponents. I mean, there was also another rally, the Ted Cruz Donald Trump rally, where they basically said to Ted Cruz, "Oh, you should lock up Beto O'Rourke in the same cell as Hillary Clinton." Oh no. It's you guys. It's the media that's being uncivil. Motherfuckers out there gaslighting the entire fucking country right now. That's what they're doing. I mean, look, there are constant videos of Donald Trump that basically calling for violence, right? Hey, knock the crap out of him. There was a time that they would leave on a stretcher, according to, like talking to protesters. I like people who body slam others. You had him praising Greg Gianforte, who actually body slammed a reporter. Hey, if there's any violence, don't worry, I'll pay your legal bills. Don't worry about it. On and on and on. There's so many different examples of that. You want to talk about hostility? It's not even close. It's not even close. It feels like America right now is stuck in an abusive relationship with a narcissistic sociopath. You know what happens? People like that make things up. And then they tell you that what you've seen is not happening, right? It's not real. In a rally, he said, this is back in April, just remember what you're seeing and what you're reading is not really happening. Don't believe the crap you see from these people, the fake news. That's what he's out there saying. Oh, don't believe anything the media says. Believe everything that I say. And because they're lying. Because what you're seeing and reading, not actually true. Not actually true. You know why he's saying that? It's because people out there are actually exposing him for what it really is. He can't stand that. So and his flunkies, people who support him, can't stand that. And so they call for violence. They blame and they project. Donald Trump is a sociopath. And look, I don't blame people for getting taken in. Why? It's because sociopaths tell you what you want to hear. They're naturally charming. And you think, no, that's somebody that I can trust. They got my back. Even while, they go behind your back and they stab you in your back. That's what a sociopath does. That's what a narcissist does. That's who Trump is, right? And he's got right-wing media, Fox News, Breitbart, InfoWars, etc., right behind him. They're aiding and abetting. For example, on the recent bombing, or attempted bombings, right? You have Tucker Carlson out there saying, oh, the right doesn't do this. We're not monsters. Really? You have Rush Limbaugh out there saying the same thing. Republicans would never do this. Never. Well, I got news for you, assholes. 71% of violent terrorism in the United States is perpetrated by the right wing. Muslim terrorists, they make up 24%, which is horribly disproportionate, by the way. And therefore, yes, is an actual issue. But it's not solved by demagoguing all Muslims. But the terrorist attacks from the left comprise about 2%. 2%. Oh, but keep fear-mongering about those so-called mobs that wouldn't let Mitch McConnell eat a quiet dinner. Mitch McConnell only wants to enjoy dinner and cut your Social Security and Medicare. Why won't you leave Mitch alone? Just leave Mitch alone. Left-wing violence, according to the right, is you yelling at them in a restaurant. That's what that's about. But right-wing violence, and we've seen this from the far right, is attempted murder. And in some cases, actual murder. People bombing abortion clinics, killing Dr. George Tiller. But hey, look, the media, by the way, the media, and I was watching CBS last night, and I know, that's my fault, right? They still call it from both sides. Left wing, they're partly at fault for the toxicity. They're blaming CBS for this. The mainstream can't stand it. Can't stand it when they call everything even. Both sides. It's both sides. They're so afraid of being called liberal that they actually will refuse to tell the truth. Come on, man. They're blaming you. And not only that, but on 4chan, 8chan, and Trump Reddit, they're literally saying that these Democrats attempted to bomb themselves. Oh no, they're bombing themselves. And they're sending themselves bombs so that they will end up winning in the midterms. Come on. The same people who push the toxicity in this country are now decrying the same toxicity. And of course, when the left decides, you know what, I'm going to fight fire with fire, well, now suddenly we're the terrible ones, we're the violent ones. It's all projection. I mean, this is what they do. They're like, guys, why the negativity? We just think Hillary Clinton ran a pedo ring in the basement of a pizza shop. What's the problem? The problem is that you get crazy people going into pizza shops and shooting at people. That's what happens. Because there is some segment of the population that will listen to this stuff and decide, oh, I need to do something. I need to get violent. I need to go shoot somebody to go protect the babies, to protect the children. Or I need to go do something to protect America against these left-wing mobs. You guys are the problem. You're fake news. These right-wing pundits, by the way, they just use their base to get rich. They push their ideology. I'm sick of it. They feed you bullshit, they rile you up, and then they pick your pocket. And it works every single time. And if some of those people they end up riling up do violence against fellow Americans, well, I mean, sad day for you. Oh, by the way, it's not even real. It must be a false flag operation. Jeez. Why is the left so uncivil? Why is the media so left-wing? I wish the media was left-wing. I wish we actually had a left-wing media. The only place you can find it is on independent media, fucking YouTube. So, look, if we did have a left-wing media, we'd have Medicare for all, free college, and living wage by now. Why? Because they'd actually get the truth out about these incredibly good programs. But the media, of course, right now, they always cop for corporations and the status quo. And publish articles slamming progressive policy and Bernie Sanders, etc. But as establishment as the media is, and as much as they frustrate me, they're not responsible for this. The fringe right, and sometimes, yes, the fringe left, too, when they shoot a congressman or, you know, they break a few windows. But it's not equal. And that's what I'm trying to point out here. There's not parity here between the two different sides. You don't talk about Antifa knocking over some trash cans and breaking a window. Okay, that's still wrong. But you want to compare it to the right wing that literally tried to send bombs to people or have killed people in abortion clinics, etc.? It's not even close. It's not even close. The extreme right in this country is far more dangerous. And it's being led, unfortunately, by people like Donald Trump. Now, here's the last final irony of this. Donald Trump doesn't even have a core ideology. Everything that he's doing right now, he does for his own benefit. He doesn't actually believe in anything other than, I want to do stuff that helps Donald Trump. And when that stops helping him, the man will turn on you so fast, your head will spin. So, no ideology, no core, nothing but, hey, I'm going to milk this. I'm going to milk the rubes for as long as I can. So think about that while you sit here and defend this turd of a president. Okay, let's go to the Saudis. I think I'm fairly clear on that. Jeff, tell us how you really feel. Trust me, I will. Okay. Now, Saudi Arabia is finally admitting about the truth about the brutal killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Now, according to the Daily Beast, Saudi prosecutors on Thursday said that the killing, or I should say admitted that the killing, was premeditated. The admission was reported by state-run media. Now, Saudi Attorney General Saud al-Mojeb said investigators had reviewed evidence presented by Turkish officials as part of a joint investigation that concluded that the murder was planned. Well, no shit. I think we knew this already. As soon as this happened, as soon as Turkish officials, by the way, said, by the way, we have audio of this. Again, audio. You had video afterwards of a guy dressed up in Khashoggi's clothes, complete with fake beard. One of the worst cover-ups in history. Not only that, but you had a 15-man team that went in there, which included a person that does autopsies armed with a bone saw. You can't get more obvious that yes, this was premeditated. They were out there trying to basically kill a journalist. How obvious can you get? Again, what were we saying? They did it, and now they finally go, okay, you know what? They caught us. You caught us. Now they're saying we killed them, but it wasn't the Crown Prince stuff. State media also reported that the prosecutors were questioning suspects as a result of that joint investigation. Let me guess. That suspect doesn't involve Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Because, of course, it's never going to. Look, you want to ask me? Okay, I do think he ordered it, like he orders other executions. Like he ordered the kidnapping of the leader of Lebanon. This guy is not a good guy. He's a bad guy. He's a terrible person. I mean, look, I know some people in mainstream corporate media be like, well, Jeff, he was a reformer. I mean, that's why people liked him. He tried to reform the system. He gave women the ability to drive. Wow. No, he's not a reformer at all. Superficial, and yes, I'm not saying that, it's not significant that he's letting women drive. That's actually good, but he could do far, far better. The thing is that's a smokescreen. That's a cover. Because, look, what he did is that he attacked all the other people that were going to get in power before him. He basically seized power. And then once he got there, and this is irony, right? You want to see he's a reformer and that he cares and that he's a good leader, etc. Right now, Saudi Arabia is in the middle of a cash crunch. First thing he did was bought a $500 million yacht. Oh yeah, no, this guy really cares about being a good leader to Saudi Arabia. That's who Mohammed bin Salman is. Look, and I can say that because I don't plan on going to Saudi Arabia anytime soon. Because look, why would anybody go if that's what happens when you're a journalist? But that's the guy Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump have cozied up with. Now, I'm not saying that other presidents haven't gone super cozy with Saudi royals. I mean, you're kidding me, right? During 9/11, we whisked the Saudi families, including the bin Ladens, out of the country. Obama and Clinton have done numerous deals with Saudi royalty. And look, our politicians, including Donald Trump, all have a love affair with Saudi royalty. And I don't have a problem with the Saudi people. I have a problem with the monarchy. I have a problem with the government. Just like I have a problem with the government of Israel. Just like I have a problem with our government right now. So that doesn't mean I hate the Saudi people. No. It doesn't mean that the Saudi people are bad. It's just they're ruled by a shitty, terrible person. And shitty, terrible people. Like these Saudi royals, look, the stuff that they get away with, not only in their country, but of course here in America, is appalling. Now the Trump administration is saying, look, okay, if they did do it, which they just admitted that they did, we're going to take strong action, right? We're going to consider taking strong action. Now, for me, I doubt there's going to be super strong action. Here's what I think is actually going to happen, right? And here's why. For one, Donald Trump has financial ties and business interests there. And not only that, but of course, American corporations also have an interest. We have an interest in cheap oil, right? Now, here's what he could do, though. If he was serious about this, but also serious about protecting his own business interests, here's what he could do. And I can't believe I'm actually helping him, right? He could use the Magnitsky Act. Now, where have you heard that before? Oh, right. The Trump Tower meeting, right? Now, the Magnitsky Act actually would allow the Trump administration to sanction individual Saudis, ones I think likely set up by bin Salman to take the fall for this murder. So here's where it gets into speculation, right? And stay with me here because I think this is a viable theory. If I were Mohammed bin Salman, that's the way I'd set it up. I would take my political enemy, use them as a patsy to take the fall for Khashoggi's murder, and then have the United States go in and use the Magnitsky Act to personally sanction them. And then, of course, MBS can probably just either have them killed or freeze their assets and say, well, look, we found an investigation, found that this guy was, terrible, and he's the one who ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, this respected Washington Post journalist. We can't have that. And the United States used their sanction power, the Magnitsky Act, to go and sanction. So I guess he did it. So we're going to either have him killed, which is very, very likely, or, have him put in prison or something like that. Look, basically the whole point is that Mohammed bin Salman can say, problem solved. I guess you don't have to do anything against Saudi Arabia after all, and we can continue our arms deals. That's what this is about. Everybody wins. Donald Trump wins, Mohammed bin Salman wins, and the Washington Post and the rest of the corporate media also win because they get to say, look, Saudi Arabia is our ally again because they punish those responsible. look at the justice that we've got. When in reality, I don't think it will be justice. That's my speculation as to how this might end. We'll see if I'm right. But look, I think that seems plausible. I'm going to make a prediction that that's probably going to be something around that's going to happen. So we'll see. Okay. One more. Okay. Now, something funny is going on with the voting machines in Georgia. Now, that thing is voter suppression. Now, recently, voters have alerted the NAACP of certain irregularities with voting machines across the state of Georgia. Now, in response to NAACP, Georgia State Conference President Phyllis Blake filed complaints with Georgia State Board of Elections after both early voters and eyewitnesses in these counties, Bartow, Cobb, Henry, and Dodge County, Georgia, notified the civil rights organization of defective machines. Okay. Now, what makes these defective? What do they actually see? In some cases, eyewitnesses have reported, according to The Root, that when they attempted to vote for gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, the machines switched their vote to the Republican nominee for governor, Brian Kemp. Interesting. So, look, we've seen this before. I believe there was a documentary, Hacking Democracy, that was, made back in like the early 2000s that pointed out the same thing. I remember talking about this during the 2012 election, where you had, these machines, and when you press on Obama, it switched the votes to Romney. This is not a new problem. This is an old problem. And it's a problem that, again, crops up in Georgia. Which, by the way, since, the Title V Title V was lifted from the Voting Rights Act, voters no longer have protections against certain measures of voter suppression. But again, this was a problem that predated that, because now you have machines that aren't trustworthy, that produce no paper trail. By the way, not only that, but voters have reported incidences of machines basically taking their ballot card and then spitting it back out. Not only that, but some Georgia voters who've requested or cast absentee ballots have been unable to track them, which you're supposed to be able to do. So it's very possible that these votes are not getting counted. Now, Atlanta Magazine also noted that Georgia uses 17-year-old voting machines that run obsolete software and is one of the 5 states whose voting machines have zero paper trail, making them the most vulnerable to hacking, according to cybersecurity experts. And yet, for some reason, they continue to use these machines. Weird. Well, look, okay, let's be fair. Maybe Georgia can't afford to replace them, right? So, hey man, look, we'd love to replace these machines with something better, but we just don't have the time, the infrastructure, etc., and we made certain deals, so we can't do that. Okay, well, could you update them? Oh, no, I don't think we can update them either. Bullshit. Here's the thing. Now, cybersecurity experts, and this goes into why they need to update this badly. They had previously tested these machines and were able to easily hack them. They were able to change vote totals, change candidates, and yes, even erase the voter databases. With these obvious flaws, you would think that anybody who actually cares about electoral integrity would be jumping up to fix or replace these obviously flawed machines, right? Nope. But, okay, going back to the question of, maybe they just couldn't afford to do it. Well, Politico actually reported that Georgia had refused security assistance from the Department of Homeland Security prior to the 2016 election. So Department of Homeland Security said, "Oh, don't worry, we can help you, right? We'll come in and we'll help secure your elections. We'll secure your machines. We'll make it so that people can't hack in." And they decided, nope, Now, you know who made that decision? Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp, who is now running against Stacey Abrams for governor, who is also the Secretary of State who controls the voting, also made the decision to refuse election assistance, security assistance from the Department of Homeland Security. And he was the only chief election official in the entire country to refuse that assistance. Oh no, don't worry guys, we got it. Georgia, we got this shit on lockdown. Don't worry about it. Our votes are going to be great. They're going to be tremendous. That's not at all what's happening. He says, we don't care. We like things the way that they are. Electoral integrity. Please. It's not an accident. This is voter suppression 101. It's a great example. Add to that the 53,000 ballots that were being held up before a federal judge decided to step in and rule that, oh, you can't actually hold these. Because look, Georgia has an exact match system, right? Which apparently you have to have your name the exact match on your birth certificate or whatever in your voter registration. If it doesn't, it gets thrown out. It gets held for review. Oh, now you can go and fix it, they say. But how do you even know you're being held up? How do you know your vote's being held up when you can't actually go and track that? So this is another way to suppress the vote, to block the vote. And guess what? This other, the other system put into place by Kemp also basically disenfranchised of those 53%, or I'm sorry, of those 53,000 ballots being held up, over 71% of them were from African Americans. We know who they're targeting. We know this is voter suppression. Look, this is the Republican plan for Georgia. If you can't beat them, cheat them. And Abrams, by the way, she's running a fantastic campaign. And so she is neck and neck with Kemp. Now, the reason that's important to point that out is that makes the likelihood of voter suppression. Just change a few votes here and there, and suddenly we've got Brian Kemp. That makes it much more likely that we're going to have voter suppression, that somebody's going to change these votes. And so, look, without the VRA, by the way, Section 5, we can't put restrictions on any, state that decides they want to do voter suppression measures, like voter ID and voter purges. That's another thing that happened in Georgia. So here we have a situation where it is very likely that Republicans will end up stealing a governorship by using voter suppression measures. It's fairly obvious, guys. If you don't see it, it's because you don't want to. We need real election reform. We need paper ballots. We need accountability. We need to get rid of these voting machines, etc. Or else we're going to continue to have a lot of doubt in our electoral system. Okay. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. So, again, apologies for being starting the show super late and ironing out these bugs. If the sound isn't great, I'll switch to a different mic tomorrow. I'll have some time to set that up. So, but anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Please give us a like and a share if you haven't already. Please consider becoming a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation, so I can try to fix these problems a little bit easier. Because funding, I don't get any outside funding, so it can get very difficult to fix these issues unless we have a source of revenue. So a stable source of revenue, and YouTube is not it. So anyway, thank you guys. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, guys. See you guys tomorrow around the nation.